All right, boys, this is going to be an insane video. I'm going to break down start to finish how we produce all of our ads for our agency. And if you don't already know, I run an e-com ads agency. We're responsible for producing all the ads for some of the biggest dropshipping brands in the industry. And across all of our clients right now, we're doing about 8 mil a month. We actually have a couple brands that aren't actually tracking on Triple Whale, so we're probably closer to actually 10 mil. I don't think we're quite there yet, but we will probably hit that in Q4. But nonetheless, in this video, I want to break down our entire process start to finish. I'm also going to do this for an actual product that I think is a winning product. So if you're watching this video early on and you see the product that I'm about to show you, give it a shot, honestly, because I think this product has a ton of potential. I'm also going to show the exact kind of angles and process that I go through to come up with these angles and script and everything, but also how we avoid using creators at this point, because one of the most important things when testing ads is speed and efficiency. So if you're not able to test fast enough, or if you're having to spend hundreds of dollars just to get creators to produce videos for you for every single test, you're going to waste a lot of time and you're not going to move fast enough to actually scale and hit crazy numbers like some of our clients are hitting. But yeah, I also don't want this to come off as like a pitch for our agency. We're actually not bringing on any clients at this point. But yeah, I know this might be a long video if I continue to ramble, so I want to get straight to it because there is a ton of stuff that I want to showcase in this video. I don't want it to be too long and filled with fluff. I want this to be an absolute banger. So let's get right into it. All right, so first off, we are going to start off with some of our AI prompts in terms of our research process. Also, if you want this prompt list where you're going to get access to all these prompts, join the free Discord in the description, and then you'll see a channel where you can essentially just download this prompt list and use it for yourself. But starting off, how we use AI for our research process is very simple. There's two different methods that we go about using. So one is by manually extracting Amazon reviews, and that's this process right here. Again, I'm not going to break down this process in depth. I might do a video in the future on doing this exactly that and breaking it all down. But the other is using our deep research method using Gemini. So that allows Gemini to actually scrape the internet, scrape Reddit, Quora, all these public forums to actually get a ton of insights on your product specifically. So we have a couple prompts here that we put into ChatGPT first, and then ChatGPT learns how to do the research process, gives us a prompt, and then we essentially go ahead and put that prompt into Google Gemini. So from that, Google Gemini will then do the research and it will create this super lengthy research document. And this is like a PhD research essay kind of thing, but it's essentially breaking down your entire total addressable market, the avatars, your customer demographic, the problems and pain points that they struggle with. So tons of information here. And the goal with all this research process is to essentially get a bunch of resources that you're then able to feed back into ChatGPT or Claude that is going to give it tons of information on your product and your avatar and your market in general, so that it's able to more effectively ideate angles and script videos for you. So what you'll see in this Google Gemini research process here is you'll see that there are what I call overarching avatars and then sub avatars. So overarching avatars are essentially just, a larger proportion of people within your demographic. And then these sub avatars just kind of niche it down a little bit more. If you know me, and if you know kind of my methodology, you'll know that I'm very, very specific when we're creating our ads. And, we really focus on pinpointing avatars and problems directly rather than creating stuff that's like very general. But nonetheless, once we have gone through this research process with Google Gemini, we then can go ahead and put all of this information into either ChatGPT or Claude. I actually personally script with Claude most of the time. I just use ChatGPT this time, just out of simplicity. But yeah, what you'll see here is I put the entire Google Gemini doc in here. I would also probably put the Amazon reviews for this product specifically if I wanted to just prime it up a little bit more. But since this is just a video I'm recording, I don't want to spend a bunch of time doing all of that. Some of you might be wondering what is the product that we're actually promoting here or going to do this test process for. And this is going to be the saffron gummies. If you go over here to Calidata, I'll just show you this product. And I actually think that this is a winning product personally. It's done like 200K in the last 30 days or so. But it hasn't been, pushed very hard. Like a lot of these I think these top 3 videos are all like the same creator. I think there's a ton of potential for this product. So if you're watching this video right now, try and jump on this product and use some of the angles that I'm about to show you in this video as well, so that you can actually create ads that might have a higher likelihood chance of performing well. Essentially what these saffron gummies are is they're just like a gummy that parents will give to their kids to stop them having like meltdowns and tantrums. So I think it's actually got a ton of potential. It's also a supplement, so you obviously have potential for reoccurring revenue, some sort of subscription model, which helps a ton when you're actually scaling brands to 500K mil a month plus. But anyways, I kind of just go through a bunch of my prompts that I have in that AI prompt list, and I pretty much start breaking down the market sophistication. How sophisticated are the parents in terms of supplements for their kids? If your market's very sophisticated and they know your product, they know other products on the market, you don't want to treat them like they're stupid, and you don't want to write scripts as if they don't know anything. So that's something that you have to be very attentive with. This is just some crazy sauce that I'm going to be giving away in this video. But then I also break down the avatars. So obviously this is also in that Gemini research process, but I think breaking it down a little bit more is also very important to do, just because you can then get a better idea for yourself of some of these avatars that you might want to target. The most important thing with these avatars, and what I'm going to show you after in this video of how we actually produce the videos, is the creators that you select, you want them to resemble the avatars that you're trying to target. So essentially, if you're trying to target a skeptical dad who is anti-pharma, against big pharma, doesn't want to give their kids any sort of supplement or any sort of pharmaceuticals, then you obviously want the avatar in your ad, the creator in your ad, to resemble that avatar that you're trying to target. You don't necessarily want it to come from the mouth of some college girl that you just pay to talk about your product. That's where there's going to be a disconnect and it's just not going to resonate. But nonetheless, we go through this entire avatar process. So after the avatars, then we do the same thing with the problems and pain points. So again, we do this entire process where we have the overarching problem and pain point, and then we have these sub-problem and pain points where they're a lot more specific. And again, I don't want to get too caught up on all of this because I'm just going to fly through what this process looks like. This is our research process and angle creation at this point, where we're kind of breaking down the problems. So then at this point, you'll have a good idea for the avatars that you want to target and the problems and pain points that they're struggling with. And that is essentially what creates an angle, is once you have an avatar and a pain point, if you put them together, that's essentially creating an angle. Obviously, there's a few more variables that go into that. The video format or the ad format is also going to play a big role in that. And also the mass desires of your audience. So that's something that you want to pay attention to as well, is what is it that your audience actually desires out of this kind of product? Are they really looking for just the transformation or the end result of using this supplement? So in this case, it might be just less tantrums for their kid, or is it something a little bit deeper than that? After you've kind of primed your thread, this is going to be one of your best prompts, is actually creating angles. So, picking a problem, picking an avatar, and allowing ChatGPT or Claude to then create your angles. So what you'll see here is it has created 10 different angles. And I'm going to jump over into our Milanote board now. And this is what we actually use. Some of this stuff is redacted just because this is a module taken directly from our program. If you join our one-on-one mentorship program, then you would get access to our entire research board. But for the simplicity of this video, I'm just going to break down these angles. So based off of these angles, I was able to identify a few different avatars. So off of this first one, this is the relatable burnout mom. They see every other exhausted parent talking about their kids' tantrums, and essentially what avatar is going to want to see in an ad is a person that looks like them, resembles them. They probably want something that's casual, raw, very authentic, as if someone just, set up their camera, and then just started yapping at the camera. So I actually kind of went more in depth and started to develop scripts for each of these. And I'm not going to, break down the scripts, but what I want to show you next is going to be the most important process of all of this, because it's all great to be able to do the research, come up with the angles, come up with the scripts, but if you don't have a good way of actually making these come to life, then you're never going to succeed. And if you're using creators for all of this, if you're outreaching to creators, one, that's going to take a ton of time. And this is coming from someone that is running an agency where we're working with like dozens of creators at any given time. We have to have like 1 or 2 full-time team members just manage the creators with our agency. So using AI creators is going to be the most important thing in terms of simplicity's sake, but also being able to test fast and effectively. And my favorite tool for testing AI creators is ArcAds. And ArcAds, I think, is way ahead of the game in terms of AI creators in general. I think they have the most realistic. They also have the most variety of creators, because I've used a ton of these different platforms that do this exact thing, but ArcAds is so much farther ahead. And I'm going to break down exactly how we use ArcAds as well. It's honestly it's crazy how good they are now, the AI creators. If you want to sign up for ArcAds, in the first link in the description, you'll see a link. You'll be able to join. Again, I can't recommend ArcAds enough. We use it every single day with our agency, and this is the sole thing that allows us to produce the amount of ads that we produce. And if there's one thing that I stress with everyone that's wanting to scale their brand, it's that they need to increase their creative production. The problem with that is if you aren't able to get creators on board, or you're using, just 11 Labs voiceovers, you're going to be lacking, some sort of human element in your ads. And ArcAds is the best for having these AI creators that actually resemble real people. And the lip sync is really good, and I'm going to show you more of that in this video as well. But nonetheless, I wanted to kind of just showcase a couple of these angles that we're actually going to take over to ArcAds and then create. So again, we're going to take over the relatable burnout mom, and on ArcAds, we're going to look for a creator that kind of resembles that. We're also going to create this angle coming from a doctor or authority figure. So in this case, it might be like a pediatrician, which is like a kid's doctor. The other angle that I wanted to kind of break down as well is also just like, I refuse to drug my kid parent. I think the best way to kind of exemplify this sort of angle is going to be using like a dad. He's going to be this stereotypical like conspiracy theorist kind of, I don't trust big pharma, I'm not giving my kids any drugs, and we're going to find an avatar that fits exactly that. So jumping over to ArcAds now, you'll see I was able to create a couple scripts and actually make all of these angles come to life. So this is the relatable burnout mom.
Parents ask me
this is the
all the
pediatrician
time.
video.
All right, so
and this is like the anti-big
I don't
pharma
usually do
sort of
videos.
video from a dad.
4-year-old
And I'm going to
son.
break down each of these videos, because honestly, the quality of this is just crazy. And I want to just let you watch the first little bit of some of these videos and pay attention to the lip sync, because it's so good at this point. And also, if you do come into certain times where the lip sync is kind of off or it doesn't look great, that's when you're going to be filling it in with B-roll. And that's how you're actually making these concepts come to life. So you don't necessarily just have to launch this start to finish as a creative, although you very much can. I think this has a high likelihood chance of performing well. I think using B-roll specifically here and there is also something that you can do. And I'm also going to show you how you can create your own B-roll using ArcAds as well, because it is absolutely nuts at this point.
My soon-to-be 4-year-old son has been struggling with managing his big emotions. It's literally been the worst to deal with. Every little thing was a battle. Bedtime? Tantrum. Saying no to an extra snack? Tantrum. It got to the point where I honestly thought he had
It's
ADHD
crazy.
because nothing calmed him down.
So obviously, to actually create this script, I had to go back and forth with ChatGPT a couple times to actually make a good script. But I think this came out just so well. But yeah, let's kind of watch a couple of these other videos. So this one's from a pediatrician's point of view as well.
Parents ask me all the time, why does my child have such big tantrums? Why do the smallest things set them off? Here's the truth. Tantrums aren't just about being difficult. They usually come from the brain struggling to regulate.
So what you'll notice is obviously the script portion in this maybe it could actually be sped up, or, maybe you don't actually like the way that they're, saying this. So you could actually remix and reuse this exact script, but then you can edit some of their voice features. So you could edit the speed, because in that case, I think maybe the speed of the video could be a little bit better. And the craziest thing with Arc Ads now is they have this add speech emotion button. And this is currently in beta, but I think it works super, super well. So if you just click that button, I already did it. So you'll see there's these little prompts here that kind of come up before certain parts of the script, which are actually going to impact the way that that AI creator is delivering the script. So at the start, when it says /curious, it's going to deliver this portion of the script in like this curious point of view, or like, just the tone of voice is going to be different when it's like curious versus excited. And I think that also very much helps to make these scripts come to life in a very authentic way. So yeah, what you could do here is honestly just edit some of the speed, the stability, similarity. This is stuff that you could do most of the time on like 11 Labs as well. And this is stuff that I tweak all the time, because sometimes the delivery might come off like a little weird. So you might just have to go back in, remix it, speed it up, maybe change the similarity to bring it down a little bit. But yeah, that's pretty much how we do that. I also want to note that there's so many features with Arc Ads that it's just crazy. There's some gestures that you could include as well. So you're able to pretty much go through here and describe a gesture that you want one of these people to be making. So if you want the doctor to wave, you literally just write that here, and it will generate you a B-roll clip of like this doctor waving. And you could use this for literally anything. Also, the B-roll feature here is crazy as well. I want to just show you how I created a couple B-roll clips specifically for, these saffron gummies, like these children's gummies. And just watch this.
This isn't candy. It's my secret gummy weapon to keep the peace around here.
But I think there's a ton of clever ways that you could do this. I did this one just for fun. I made this, obviously, you might not want to launch something that's like,
Mom says I have,
but just watch this.
Big emotions. I say, fuck yeah, I do.
Obviously, like, you might be penalized by Facebook for like swearing in a video like that. But all this to say, there are plenty of clever ways that you can use Arc Ads to generate high quality videos. And this is one of the most common questions I get asked when we're creating VSLs or UGC is like, okay, where do I find B-roll? How do I get these good clips that actually resonate with what the script portion is talking about? And this is exactly how we do it with our agency. We just generate a ton of stuff with AI at this point. Yeah, nonetheless, I was able to generate another B-roll shot of just like a kid sleeping peacefully. So this could be like the after shot of like, the kids going freaking crazy here.
I told you, I'll never go to sleep. Sleep is for boring people, not superheroes.
So like, obviously that's like, exemplifying how a kid could be absolutely nuts and crazy. And then you could also kind of, have this at the end of the video in a B-roll shot where the kid is like finally sleeping and peaceful and, after taking this gummy. But like I want to show you this last video here as well. And this is just like the, anti-big pharma parent. And I think this came off really well as well.
All right, so I don't usually do videos like this, but I gotta say something. My little guy just turned 4, and
so one thing I noticed right off the bat is like the pacing is again a little bit slow. So what I would just do here is essentially just go through here, remix. I think I just opened, I don't know what script this is. Okay, yeah, there we go. Remix this, and then essentially what you can do is just, again, speed up the video and just regenerate it. And I think this is like probably the most important thing. I have big is just like actually working with AI to refine it over time, because not every time it's going to give you the best output. So all this to say, you might have to work back and forth with it here and there, but overall, just being able to create start to finish these 3 different angles with 3 completely different avatars is super, super powerful stuff. And also I wanted to kind of break down, you know, what the actors actually look like, because there are so many in here. Like if you want to have any sort of video where, you know, you're creating a script from a doctor's perspective, there's tons of doctors on here. There's this one, another one here. You know, sometimes you might be advertising a product that's for black women or specifically white women, depending on, you know, whatever they're promoting. And they obviously have tons of different avatars here that can literally cater to every single product. I generally recommend using some of these more authentic looking avatars from here. They do have like these podcast style, like studio creators here, but I think the best way to do it is using authentic
welcome to
creators
Arcads. I'm one of the
where
natural.
they're essentially just like walking and talking, or, you know, look like they just set up their phone and they're talking. But yeah, tons of creators here. You're able to sort by male,
welcome
female.
to Arcads. I'm one of the
Okay, stop talking, please. And then you're also kind of able to sort through like their situation and stuff like that. So all this to say,
Emotions.
ArcAds is so far ahead of their competitors at this point. I used to use Creatify, to be honest with you. But at this point, I tested out ArcAds, and ArcAds is just so good. You're literally able to create your own B-roll, create your own scenes, get like just talking head videos. There's so much that you're able to do with this. Anyways, all this to say, obviously, I wanted to just kind of break down exactly how we, you know, segment our audiences and how we're able to make those scripts come to life using ArcAds, because again, this is probably the best video tool that I've used in terms of saving you a ton of money, because this is coming from someone that I actively spend thousands on creators every month for certain concepts, but ArcAds actively saves me thousands every month because I don't have to pay creators for every single concept that I want to test. So if you want to save yourself a ton of time and also a ton of money, then honestly, check out ArcAds. I'll leave it in the first link in the description. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this video. I might make another video where I actually go more in depth on our entire process, you know, start to finish of like angle creation, because I know I kind of flew through some of this. And I think a lot of people might find it valuable to actually see this happen in real time. Also, if you do want more guidance on this entire process in terms of scaling your brand, scaling your creative production, then there is another link in the description to apply to join our one-on-one mentorship program. In the program, we have just like a ton of different phases and tons of modules on all sorts of things in terms of, you know, funnels, how to actually create winning ads, the research process, creative strategy process. We also just have tons of modules in each one of these phases. Also how to hire effectively, you know, tons of stuff here that, you know, I won't necessarily share on YouTube. So if you do want access to this and you want to actually scale your brand up for Q4, click that link to apply for the mentorship. This would be a one-on-one mentorship program with me where you get access to this entire program, but you would also jump on one-on-one calls with me directly to help you scale your brand over the next few months. But yeah, that's all I've got for the video, so I'll see you in the next one.